Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nick Michalak and the marvelous Steve Frazier.
Hey, hey!
And we're finally getting around to this franchise that we've been teasing for like a year or so.
Maybe two, actually.
So, something like that. It's been swirling around for a while now, but currently it's the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Chainsaw is 2 words. Don't mess it up.
It is 2, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So, whatever copy you have of this thing, you can get your timestamp up to 0. We'll give you a countdown to sync up, so enjoy the ride. So, guys, in 3, 2, 1, play.
We have the Blu-ray version here.
The newest edition.
Excellent. Excellent. Tobe Hooper.
Yes. He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah. I don't know how common this was. This preamble, if you will.
Text scroll thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think famously, most people think of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
That's like a thing?
Mm-hmm.
This was obviously, before that.
Yeah.
And here we have the beautiful stylings of Jean Larroquette.
Yes, indeed. Who didn't get paid for this. Wikipedia says he did it as a favor. Basically, one way or another, I don't think he got paid for it.
Is that legal? I mean, don't they have to?
Well,
I mean, I guess unless it's uncredited.
Considering a lot of things with the financials of this movie, a lot of people didn't get paid for much.
I guess. Anyway.
And I'm sure that this is not a SAG production, stuff like that. So, I mean, this is all independent stuff, run and gun.
See, I don't know. I always just kind of assumed that if it's released, you have to. Maybe not. I don't know. And this is one of those that's inspired by actual events.
as it claims, as both this and Psycho and Silence of the Lambs are all
based on the same person. Yeah.
Inspired by the Ed Gein story up in Wisconsin, where from what I heard, is like he was maybe confirmed to maybe killed 2 people, but most of his stuff was more kind of the back end, the kind of grave robbing, stuff like that, the weird kind of post-mortem, if you want to go fetishizing type of stuff, but his morbid fascination with corpses, stuff like that, was more what this inspiration came from.
Yeah, I like it. Love the camera. The bulb
little
flashes with the and here's your grave robbing that you were just speaking of.
This shot is phenomenal. The whole pullback thing.
Yeah.
Nice and gooey.
Yeah. There's actually quite a bit to be praised as far as production design on this goes. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine, going to visit your loved one at the cemetery after church?
Yeah.
And you roll in, and this is what you see?
A nice suit, and the wife's in a nice dress, and got the kids there with some flowers, and...
Right, we gotta go visit Grandma. Wait. Grandma. Oh, boy.
Lord almighty.
The filming locations here are... Mm-hmm. Very out of the way. It's not easy to get to any of them.
I'm sure
from what
not.
I understand.
And apparently the main Sawyer house in this thing ended up being relocated and then completely renovated, and now it's a restaurant.
That's correct. It's a barbecue restaurant, which is the greatest destination of all time. I have not been. I need to go. There is, depending on what copy you have, maybe you can seek out, there's Sean Clark did a Horrors Hallowed Grounds on this. It was one of the first ones he did, and it's not the greatest production value on it.
I'm sure.
Because it's one of the early ones.
Standard of camera and not a whole lot of...
There's a lot of even camcorder kind of stuff.
Slickness in it, yeah.
The good news is he did some of it so early that he got early footage, before things have now changed.
Yeah, and deteriorated, what have you.
But even then, it's hard to find some of these places.
Mm-hmm.
But You're right. Like, especially because like the house has been relocated, so
Right.
trying to find the original
It's an entirely
spot,
different town now.
right? Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
I mean, obviously, I mean, with I think they had about initially there was like $30,000, 1973, $74, which is quite a bit more now. But back then, it's like, okay, we only got so much money. We're gonna have to find some fairly out of the way locations to kind of keep out of the purview of just
Right.
the general populace.
Well,
So,
I mean, there
stuff like that.
and this is, we're pushing what 50 years ago that it's I mean,
It's pushing that way. We stopped counting
what,
after a while.
45 years ago. So back then there wasn't a whole lot,
Of development.
right?
Yeah.
Like it just
Yeah.
you
It
could go
hasn't-
anywhere and
Yeah, it was just starting to really
who are you
pick up
disturbing?
in some
Nobody.
places, and Texas definitely probably. I've never been there, but probably still has some fairly wide open areas.
I imagine so. It's
Not as many as obviously there were this time, but
and when did Black Christmas come out?
at the end of the same year.
So this was actually before.
I'm sure. I think it was December. Yeah, it was December '74.
Okay, and this,
So-
so this actually came out first.
Well, yeah. Well, it was made probably about roughly. I think they finished filming about a year before it actually was released.
Because we kind of have our archetypal, here's our group of cast of characters that, and he lets go of old Paul Partain, R.I.P. He recently passed.
No.
I mean, that's a hell of a bump he just took
Yeah.
there. Like, I mean, he was already disabled. They never really talk about what his ailment is.
No.
It's just, oh, he's got his taco meat on display there. Gross.
Oof, yeah. How about this guy?
I mean, the outfits.
The fucking shirt on this guy.
Those are, oh my god, they're like animals. I always thought it was like just a paisley pattern. It's like guys on horses and sword fighting and stuff. Look at this shit. There might be unicorns. Dragons? I can't really tell. He's got terrible hair.
Oh, no. Yeah.
This guy is not good.
No.
Interesting, the van that they're in, this Ford van, has become, kind of iconic as well. Just as a horror movie car. And here's what we were just talking about. You go visit Grandpa and this hillbilly life. Everyone,
Yeah.
oh, there's a commotion at the cemetery. Let's all go sit and drink. There's a lot of these like low to the ground shots. Like this makes you feel uneasy. If this was just like a standard eye level shot of a guy
Okay.
laying on the ground,
Yeah.
it wouldn't feel as
It's
creepy.
It's a tad bit more in your face, especially
creepy,
with
yeah.
the wider lenses they're using here, yeah.
Because being down at this vantage point as a
Yeah.
viewer is not
Awkward.
natural. Yeah. So I love the cinematography in this. And I'm pretty sure this cemetery is fairly easy to get to and is a popular destination.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
I love this guy. I really do.
Okay.
I think he's a great character.
you can have your opinion.
I mean, he's annoying as fuck, but I think it's a great character. You ever driven by like maybe not a slaughterhouse, but like a cattle? I mean, obviously.
Nothing picked up a stench for, no, if that's what you're getting at.
Good Lord. I mean, cattle farms. I mean, it basically just smells like horse or cow shit. I've never driven by a slaughterhouse per se, but I imagine that it's just kind of that smell of rotten meat. This is what I like about this character.
Okay.
Especially in a scene like this, is he is kind of taking over the room and being kind of a know-it-all, because that's his way of trying to feel important. You know, like I fit in with this crowd. Like I know some stuff. I might get to teach you something. You know what I mean?
But for me, a lot of what he does just seems very obnoxious as we go along.
But I mean,
he's obviously not someone who has a lot of social exposure,
right?
So,
that's a great shot too.
Yeah.
And here's old Ed Neal, our hitchhiker. The Dracula's a great line. I mean, well, this is an era. See, even we were both born in early '80.
Yeah. And
I think by the time that we were old enough to understand what hitchhiking was, nobody was doing it. I don't think in the '80s, like, hitchhiking was a dead brand in the '80s.
Right, yeah.
But in '74, I mean, people hitchhiked across the country.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was the whole, a little bit of Jack Kerouac type of thing where you're kind of roaming around and trying to find your own place in the world, stuff like that, and feel just kind of like, just having this sort of new world experience in a certain way. They don't want to fit inside society's mold. They want to go out and find the adventure somewhere.
Well, a little hippieism.
Yeah. I mean, that's what these main characters are. They're the free spirit type of people that have, in large part, by this point in time, a lot of that is really starting to kind of die out in a certain way. Yeah,
because the '60s bled in.
Yeah,
but at this point, we're deep into we're the mids now.
Yeah.
The mid '70s.
I mean, not when they're developing the film and shooting the film, but certainly by the time it's being released, it's just about dissipating out of the culture.
I love that Franklin is like interested in this and not phased at all. He's like, let's talk shop about, like, and maybe it's the lack of social cues and the fact that he might be on the spectrum that he just is bonding with this man and doesn't think anything is odd about the whole situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else is like, what did we do here?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess as somebody who would never pick up Hitchhiker to begin with,
no.
Watching this, I'm terrified. Like, I'm afraid of old Ed Neal here.
Okay.
He's brilliant. I love this Polaroid camera around his neck, whatever this satchel made of animal ass that he's got. And now he's mutilating himself. I mean...
Yeah.
I just think it's very compelling. Why the driver in his battle shirt wouldn't just decide, like,
we've had enough.
Right, let's pull over and
right.
I mean, like, uh-oh. And you don't feel any sort of like tension with this at all?
When I was watching, it just felt like the scene just went on longer than it needed to. It didn't feel as like focused as it could have been.
I guess
I just felt like in any real life scenario, halfway through this sequence, the guy would have been kicked out of the van already, in my opinion, just from a screenwriting point of view.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Very long build up to a payoff, and you don't need as long of a build up to get to where you want to go. I mean, you don't need the whole point with the photograph here. I mean, him just cutting himself would be like, okay, this guy's crazy. He's probably going to cut all of us right now. Let's get rid of him.
Right. I also feel like because we're not from this era, that maybe it's a different perspective. At the time,
yeah,
you know.
Again, these people are part of a culture that we have not even a secondhand real life knowledge of what their mentalities are, what their philosophies really are. All we just hear is the stupid stuff like Mercury and retrograde stuff that they had said earlier. That is kind of like the cliche stuff to kind of throw out there and stuff like that.
It's a very cliche line.
Yeah,
yeah. My mother is she was, let's see, when did she graduate high school? She graduated in 75.
All right.
So I feel like she's the same demographic as these folks.
Yeah.
She had a little hippie in her.
Okay.
Not a lot, but just enough. Just enough. But I feel like, she could kind of identify with some of these people.
My parents are a little older. My dad served in the Army. He actually served in Texas.
Okay.
Where he got stung by a scorpion.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't happy. He doesn't like Texas no more.
Oh, dear. This is, I like that this is the straw that breaks the camel.
Yeah, it's like the knife and the straight razor. I mean, you get a straight razor here, but
unless it's a like rule of 3 thing, like they wanted it to be 3. I love kicking the van. I think that's hilarious. The raspberry is so good. Like, this guy's creepy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as we go on throughout the movie and even in the sequels, they all kind of have the same body language, all of the family members.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Okay.
Like, I feel like this is... Like, you're going to read a horoscope right now?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's like, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, just read the next one. Man, I remember being a kid and like being at the grocery store and they had all those little rolled up horoscopes that you could get. They were like at $1 or something, and they're in the next to the gum and at the checkout counter, and they were rolled up and they were like real tightly rolled, like almost like a cigarette.
Okay.
And they were color coded depending on what your sign was.
I don't recall.
You don't remember this?
That, no.
And I always was like, oh, like once I was old enough to know what a horoscope was, I was like, oh, we should get one. And then somebody, the adult in my line was, by the way, I believe that is the same make and model of Coke machine that we have in my mother's house. It takes dimes and it's still operational, the one that we have. We're collectors of Coca-Cola
Okay.
merchandise. Anyway, worms available here. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't even know. What was I talking about?
Coca-Cola.
No, before that. What was I? I was on some tangent about something. Oh, the horoscopes. And so somebody would be like, how long has that horoscope been sitting there? Like, how often do they refill them? And don't you think that maybe it's just the same whole piece of paper that's been sitting there for a year and it's not actually accurate? And then I was like, oh, yeah. And then that's when I realized it was all bullshit.
Yes.
Was those little rolled up horoscopes. If anybody remembers these, drop it in the comments. We slaughter barbecue. I don't recall ever seeing that before. I thought it just said barbecue.
Are you aware of the story behind the distributors who picked up the film? Bryanston?
I don't recall the story, no.
They were owned by the mob.
Okay.
Big Tony.
Big Tony, I like it. I like it already.
Who pretty much took most of the money. Basically, I think like pretty much the cast and crew all got like deferred payment. There's like you'll get paid after the film gets picked up and all that type of stuff. So after they paid this person and that person, like the accountant and a few other people, there was about $8,100 divided between like 20 cast and crew members.
Oh my god!
And the film made like $30 million.
That all went to Big Tony or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, he spent some time in jail in the early '80s after they.
I like it
because I guess like okay.
I'm pretty sure that is the same machine, the Coke machine.
But apparently it's like okay. Producers end up suing Bryanston, but by the time they win the court case to get like $500,000, they've already gone bankrupt, so there's no money to give. There's no liquidated assets left. But then New Line picked up distribution rights onto like other film distribution and home video sales for a little while.
Well, that was kind of
his thing.
Entire gimmick.
Yeah, they're
right?
all just distribution at the start of things. So
he also cut the hell out of you. I don't know. He's so simple. I feel like everybody knows a guy that's like Franklin. Maybe not. I want some barbecue. I'm hungry. God, I love barbecue. Barbecue is probably my number one favorite. He's so, like, excited about going to Grandpa's house. He was not trying to write shit. I believe this gas station is still... Or at least the skeleton of the, the...
Okay.
The concrete slab. I don't think it's a Gulf. I'm not even familiar with Gulf oil.
No. Maybe they went under the gas crisis.
No, I mean
in the late 70s.
Late 70s, right? So wait, they didn't fill up the gas at the gas station?
Spent all the money on the barbecue.
Makes you wonder what this guy's eating right now, huh? I mean, it looked like an old sausage, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Ford obviously did not pay for sponsorship in this.
No.
I really would love to go down and visit this area. I really would like to go to the barbecue restaurant. Doesn't look like much of a house.
Not much.
Again, another kind of low to the ground shot. I like that they had. I like that they chose to put a character in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Just to make it. He's got that, dick or whatever it is that he's chewing on there.
Yeah.
It gives him an out to slow him down.
Okay.
Which I think is nice. I don't know. There's just something about like the logistics of having to push a wheelchair around.
Okay.
And you're right, he does become a whiny bitch.
Excessively so.
There's animals on the wall just like animals on his shirt here. I see your point as far as it taking its sweet time to get to the meat of anything.
Yeah. Because right now, I mean, there's not really a story to explore in the film. Their main thing was just like, okay, we're getting to Grandpa's house to do basically nothing.
Right, we're road tripping to reminisce and
right.
Who wants to go?
Right.
I can't imagine that being a trip that normal people would want to just go on.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe in this hippie era of free spirit and let's go see America, that
gotcha.
Maybe these particular people would be like, whatever.
Yeah. But from a storytelling perspective, because I think we've touched on this in other things, like, okay, you can have a group of characters going through the film, but if they don't have like individual stories, they're just kind of filling up the space of the movie.
Well, so far, Franklin here is the only one who's really has his own character.
Right.
The other ones are all just interchangeable parts. Like, Franklin is a very distinct character.
Yes.
Maybe that's the other reason that I've always enjoyed him.
Okay.
As a character, because he's the only character.
Okay. When I was watching this, I was just like, he just grated on my nerves so much that I just was very frustrated watching the film.
Well, he's very frustrated.
Well, it's just the fact that
everyone left him.
He's like the one central character in the film, and you make him as unlikable as you possibly can be. So it's like, okay, who am I supposed to really kind of empathize with in the story if the main character you're focusing on is this immature, whiny person who just
might be a retarded person? Maybe.
Possibly mentally deficient in some way. And he's not an endearing character. You don't really want to... I wouldn't want to spend 2 seconds with this guy in reality.
I see your point. That's a valid point. That, he's the only person that actually has a personality.
Yeah.
And by the time... Like, you're right. You kind of want to see this guy die.
Yeah.
There's no... Maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
aside from these two holding hands, aside from like that, I couldn't really tell you what the relationships are between any of the other characters. Are they boyfriend, girlfriend, or what's going on?
We know that him and the Sally, Franklin, pronouns pal.
Brother and sister, because of the prologue.
Right. Well, also, he talks to her about, granddaddy's place,
right.
So we know that there's at least some relationship there. The hell is that? Bag of feathers? Oh, it's some kind of artistic skull thing. And again, this kind of thing it's not unnerving to us in 2020.
Not terribly much.
But, maybe 45 years ago.
Right.
When I don't know, it's weird because they haven't been there in years and years.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't they assume that? Oh, there you see scorpions. They're scorpions.
Yes.
Now he's got his chest hair on display too. There's your swimming hole. It's got sunflowers in it. What I was saying is, because they have not been to the house in God knows how long, and clearly it's abandoned and nobody lives there, I feel like nothing would surprise me. Like, maybe there's homeless people, taking a dump in a corner.
Yeah.
Here's another great Danny Pearl low-to-the-ground shot. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, just saying, maybe there's animals taking refuge in there or something.
Sure.
Who knows?
Right.
The fact that they go in there to see all those spiders up in the corner, it's like, of course it would be.
That reminded me of a scene in the Amityville Horror.
Okay.
As well. Those were like bees or flies or something.
Bees.
I think it was bees.
Yeah.
But they were all gathered in the corner just like that. And it was around the same time that this came out. So
a few years after this, yeah.
Love the sunflowers. Sunflowers are my favorite. I mean, and here's something else, too, that is lost on our generation, is wandering around and you see another house. You don't just go into that house's backyard and start snooping in their stuff.
Yeah, no, that's illegal. That's illegal. That's trespassing.
Let's just go look at all their stuff. What? I don't know, that actually never really occurred to me until just now. And I've seen this movie a dozen times or better. Shout out to Wisconsin, who made that beautiful generator there. And it's not like these characters are in need of anything.
No, they're just wandering around.
Let's rebook the territory here for a minute. Right. And let's say Franklin injured himself.
Something,
and they needed help.
Right.
That would make sense that they would go to the neighbor's house. This is the famous Sawyer house. This house, if I'm not mistaken, not that we want to just keep regurgitating trivia that most fans probably already know.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I really enjoyed when I learned it was that this house was actually one of those Sears catalog houses.
Okay.
From the late 1800s, where the owners literally bought it in the Sears catalog and had it delivered and got it put together on their.
That's wild.
You could prefab house back in the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about because the trivia I mentioned earlier about moving the house, it's got to be a really peculiar process to go about elevating entire house off of its foundation, whatever foundation.
Maybe there's none.
Had.
Maybe there's just
but
a slab.
Just being able to get it up on some kind of flatbed to move it somewhere,
right,
without it falling to pieces.
Well, it came in pieces originally,
right.
So there you go.
So I mean, just very fascinating to see that.
She's gonna go sit on the porch swing. An old Kirky chest hair is gonna. And we're 35 minutes into this, and nothing has happened, really.
Correct. There's no chainsaw yet.
And there won't be for quite a while.
No, there won't be.
Which I always was I felt a little deceived or cheated.
Yeah.
And now we have horror.
Oh.
Whammy. Which I like that it came out of nowhere. Great shot, the sound. And
I mean, for me, there's something weird, just like him slamming the metal door has more impact on me for some reason.
This is the great Danny Pearl money shot right here. Under the porch swing, low to the ground, looking at her ass.
But I don't know if it was just something in him shutting that steel shutter just has more of maybe a sonic impact on me. Maybe it's just a sound design of it.
Well, right, because then it's followed by the score.
Right.
The ominous tones.
Yeah.
This is like one of the more famous camera shots.
Oh, yeah.
Cinematographer Danny Pearl, who I got confused in the early 2000s. Do you remember this story about the journalist Danny Pearl, who in I think it was probably 2000 or 2001 got captured over in the Middle East and was beheaded.
Okay. Yeah.
He was beheaded, like on live.
Pearl. It was something Pearl, yeah.
No, his name was Daniel Pearl.
Okay, yeah.
And I always was like, wait, was that the movie guy, Danny Pearl? Like, I thought it was this guy that got beheaded on the Jihad TV.
Yeehaw.
It wasn't. It was a different guy.
Sadly, either way.
The production design is so ridiculous in this room. With the feathers everywhere and the bones. The furniture is made out of bones. Like, everything is goofy. Who would live there? Who would have this as a room in their house? Teeth everywhere. Of random foot.
I mean, in a way, the horror of this thing is so starkly different from everything that we kind of like know from horror later on, where it's gory, it's all about the blood and the guts and stuff like that. This is like the end. This is the dry version. It's all about bones, and in that way, it still has an unnerving quality to it.
Yeah,
because we're not used to seeing this style of graphicness on screen.
Well, we weren't, especially in 1974.
Even then, yes, no. That's exactly why. That's exactly why I can look back towards when this came out and how it has an impact when the audience are sitting down and seeing this. Like, what the blazes is this? No one's seen anything like 1,000 miles close to this sort of thing on a anything close to a mainstream movie screen. Anything like advertised in newspapers, so like that, you can go to the Cineplex and find that.
Can we get What the Blazes trending again? Because that's tremendous. You're right, this was shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, we were coming off the heels of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Which, you know, the most shocking movie ever, whatever.
Yeah, which I've been having a predilection to watch again. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
And there's our door. Here's our friend.
Yeah.
I love the bear hug through the...
Oh, Gunnar Hansen. Man. Boy, he had a time on this movie. Because...
Everyone had a time
but
on this movie.
They couldn't wash it. They wouldn't wash his costume because they were afraid that would alter it too much or change the color. So he has to wear the same mask, the same clothes, for 12 hours a day in 100-degree heat for like a month, 5 days a week. It's gotta stink like high heaven.
Oh God, yeah, like Vader stinky.
Big Van Vader, you mean?
Right. Notoriously stinky human. Hey, here's a chainsaw. The meat hook gimmick here is extremely famous. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody had ever been meat hooked on screen before this. I do love that she gets to watch him get carved up.
Yeah.
And here's where you really get to see the first real look at old Bubba.
Hey, you heard about how Tobe Hooper was hoping he was going to get a PG on this thing, because that's why we're not seeing the graphicness of the blade going into the neck and all that type of stuff and blood splattering everywhere. He thought if he could not show the gore, that would be the only thing to prevent him from getting an R rating.
Right, well, because there was no PG-13 at the time.
Right, no, way far off. 10 years. But it's always something that keeps getting me all the time when people say, oh, that film wasn't very gory, it should have been R-rated. Well, gore is not the only factor in determining a rating for a film. Like this, when people saw it, it was terrifying because it's so horrific, intense. It's as we go on later on, it has a much more manic style of expressing the horror in certain places. So gore isn't the differentiating factor. When I see a horror film, especially something like a slasher film, saying, "Oh, this is going to be PG-13," well, it just seems like you're not just not showing gore. You're not going to be an intense film. You're not going to have a high level of terror in the film. It's going to be very tame on all levels.
And really, that's the best thing you can do anymore is make a horror movie and have it PG-13, because then all your middle schoolers can go see it.
Yeah.
You make double the money on something.
Sometimes, but still, I mean, these days you get stuff like It gets close to $1 billion. Conjuring franchise, that's all rated R. That's all made hundreds of millions of dollars. So for a studio to say, "Oh, we're going to make this PG-13," is like, it's not necessary, because all these other films that come out have been very good and very successful and made a whole ton of money. So there's not really a justification unless that's the artistic intention with it. So.
And I guess my theory about the youngsters.
Yeah.
When I was at the most recent horror convention that we went to, and there were several of the It cast members there. The line to go meet and greet with them was filled with teens and preteens. Everyone wanted to get their look at these kids.
Your 18-year-old brother or whatnot, or your parent takes you and they think it's well enough for you to see, you get in.
I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't get in, because
right. I'm just
we're gonna
the standards of such things. But
I watched horror movies as a child.
Yeah.
Child. I have a story. I will save it for part 2 because it's relevant to part 2. But I mean, I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 when I started watching, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Movies like this, I mean, I was watching Friday the 13th, and now it's like, well, do we not let our kid watch it till they're, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know, I started when I was early single digits.
Yeah, well, parenting, even from the 70s to the 80s, probably changed a lot, Ben. And
I'm sure.
Since when we were kids, it's changed considerably as well, so.
I'm sure.
And plus, there's probably a lot more theaters that do card. If you look of a certain age, they're going to card you and stuff like that. So it's a process.
Yep. I mean, and I recall being carded myself, trying to get into some things, at the age of, say, 15, 16.
Yeah.
And it was like, oops, couldn't do it.
Nope.
Now this makes sense because your friends are missing,
Yeah.
and now we go looking for them.
Indeed.
I do just kind of wish that something had happened that the first two needed to come over here.
Right.
And it wasn't just straight up trespassing.
Right, because, again, that would add in an element of extra story there, so motivating factor towards this and everything, and puts the other characters in a situation where they can't go anywhere because of this, that, and the other thing, so minor little pieces you could add into the makeup of the film to make it form together a little bit more.
What's the runtime on this?
About 83 minutes.
Okay,
thereabout.
so then Leatherface's first appearance is the midpoint.
Roughly.
I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
it could be way better,
right.
but, you know, there's that pivot or that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, shift, genre shift almost,
Yeah.
really. But I feel like if you're going to have a movie about murderers,
Right.
the first time that you see the murderers shouldn't be the midpoint.
Most likely, yeah. I think it's probably why, aside from Hooper kind of doing the whole thing at the beginning because of certain... He was looking at like how the government and media kind of like alters the truth and whatnot, so that's why he's pointing up front on the film, this is based on a true story or something like that, or whatever it is. But aside from the opening crawl, you wouldn't get that information that this is that style of movie. You wouldn't get the preview that something horrid is coming to your...
Right, I mean, kind
aside
of
from the title of the film, but just story-wise.
The standard formula of a horror movie is you have, in the first, like, 10 minutes or so, you have something to set the tone.
Yeah. The preamble of Halloween, Friday the 13th, even Elm Street starts out with this sequence with Tina.
Right. I absolutely love this sequence right here. Because this is... Even though he's a murderer, he's clearly, you know, simple-minded.
Yeah.
Potentially also... He's the Franklin of the family.
Indeed.
And, like, nobody's home.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
All he knows is that 3 people have now come into the house, that he's murdered. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, he's freaking out.
Yeah.
Which I like. Because it shows that even though
he's very instinctual.
He's human.
Like almost wild animal-ish.
Yeah. But there's a human response that we can connect with.
Yeah, a vulnerability in his mental makeup.
And then there were 2.
Mm-hmm.
She's so sensible, and he's so not. I just love it.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to have more of Marilyn Burns' character kind of up front. You could at least have a dynamic there. If she was a little bit more developed up front in the film, you'd have a dynamic that you could have him more abrasive and her a little bit more compassionate and have that kind of work back and forth.
Right, where maybe
get a relationship built up.
Maybe she's the caretaker of him or something.
Right. And maybe she could draw a little bit more humanity out of his character at a certain point, so...
Right, even if she were to, you know, defend some of his antics to the other characters.
Yeah.
But even in this scene, she becomes annoyed with him.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I think it works for me.
Okay.
Even though you find him extremely obnoxious. I do too, but for some reason I don't know. I've always kind of...
Again, for me, it was mainly just the fact that he's the one character that has main focus screen time, and they use that screen time to make a character that you can really
that you don't
empathize
like.
with. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess as the audience, we're supposed to identify with her in the frustration with him.
Right.
But you're right, they kind of set him up as the main character.
Yeah. I mean, she hasn't even had a close-up in the whole film. I mean...
Oh, she's going to get one.
Oh, she will. I'm just saying, if you're
right,
going to hinge like the final act of the film on her, there's just minor bits of telling a story, in my opinion, that...
I agree.
If you want to focus on the character, you'd give her a few moments like that.
They've set up Franklin basically as your main character.
Right.
Which means that if you're going to shift to her being the main character, the midpoint is the spot you would have done it.
Right.
So, in some ways, and really, this is just me thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I've watched it since I was a kid. I don't know, but having him die at the midpoint instead of the other guy might have been a better twist.
Yeah.
At least from a screenwriting structure point of view.
Yeah.
But, then again, I don't know if Tobe Hooper and they were,
Kim Henkel.
I don't think that they sat down with the math problem that you and I would normally do.
Yeah, they're not taking screenwriting courses, stuff like that. They had mainly worked in documentary before this, so that was their way of constructing things. So they didn't go to some school in Los Angeles and sit down and learn from about the 3 acts of everything like that, all that type of stuff. So I can give them a leeway because it's a rough first time putting these elements together into a story. And I mean, when I was watching this before, my main thing was just I just felt like the pacing was kind of slow without a purpose for me, because like I said, I didn't feel like there were story threads going on to follow in the film, or like you mentioned before, Exorcist. Exorcist is a deliberately paced film. There's a purpose to each beat that it's trying to hit as it moves the gradual progression of the story along. It just feels like this is filmmakers with a rough knowledge of how to construct the film and everything, and they're not super seasoned. Like I said, they haven't gone through the courses and everything like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
We get Franklin. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice jump scare.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, I'm pretty sure that Hooper and the other gal... Henkel.
That's a gentleman.
Okay. Yeah. The other gentleman. They basically were playing a game of poker, and when we get to the dinner table scene, they go all in.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
It was like, it doesn't really matter how slow we go at the beginning, because we're going to build to this crescendo.
I understand.
And everyone's going to be they're going to come out of their seats and they're going to blow their fucking gaskets at what we're going to show them, that they won't even care what happens before. But,
because obviously I have a very different perspective, as I had never watched the film completely before, so I'm looking through very modern eyes, but someone who does appreciate a film that has a slow pace when it has a purpose to the pace that it employs. I just felt like there was a lot of stuff that just lingered on longer than it had a purpose to linger on.
I'm not disagreeing.
So
the first half of this movie is horrendously slow and nothing happens.
Right.
And maybe that's the whole thing, is just the recency effect when you get to the end.
Right.
And you go, oh man, the ending, or the last 15 minutes was so hot that you kind of ignore all the crap that happened before.
I get you.
And maybe that's my whole childhood. Is like, oh, I just like the last 15 minutes of this movie. There's a spot here where he where he takes the hard left here at the door, and he almost tripped.
Oh, that would have been bad.
And it might be right here, where she goes this way, and he has to skid, and he...
around the gate here.
Right there, where he almost
Lost
tripped.
his footing.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to meet Gunnar Hansen about 10 years ago or so.
Yeah, he's passed away.
He
right?
has passed away, yeah. And very sweet man.
Yeah, it seemed like it in the interviews.
Like, does she not realize that, oh, Grandpa. So this guy still does conventions. And, and here, he's like a 19-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid that they put in this makeup.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Oof. Grandma. You really let yourself go. Is she assuming that this is like somebody else's house that she can get help? Like, I think that might have been the assumption. She just ran towards a house.
I don't think she's thinking terribly much at this point.
That's true. Okay, so she's
just reacting.
Here's our old window gag, right? Yeah. So because she threw herself out, she's fine. But if he had thrown her out, she'd be dead.
Okay, of course. Well, yes.
That's the difference. Who throws you out the window determines if you live.
That little extra push they give you. It's the physics, just that extra acceleration hitting the ground,
It's got to be it. And, it's all in silhouette. And here he comes again. And, I think this is terrifying. Like, that is a terrifying thought. That this fat man...
350-pound dude
is running after me with a chainsaw. Now, granted, she could probably outrun the guy because, he's probably blown up at this point. But...
See, the problem is they all keep stopping to turn around and look back. Just
go.
Keep looking forward.
Yeah.
And just go faster. See, when they turn around, they trip and fall and everything. That's where the problems end up being.
Oof. Oh. Like that. She ran her tit right into the tree. It's gotta hurt. And he's not very deliberate with this thing, is he?
He's kind of all over the place with that.
She's very good at the screaming and the looking insane.
Well, the fact that she's in very good shape. She's able to be building out this phenomenal scream, and she's running as fast as she is.
She's really running too.
She's doing double time here, double duty on this thing.
I didn't feel like the gas station was that far away.
No, or that close.
Or that close. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a nice little twist, plot twist. The local yokel gas station attendant gimmick has been done to death.
Oh, yeah.
There are half a dozen stories that have used that trope.
Hills Have Eyes does the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Russ Fielding.
Russ Fielding.
That's him
in the remake. Phenomenal. I love him.
Yeah.
He's great in that.
I forget his actual name, but we've covered him multiple times in
Die Hard 2, Beverly Hills Cop. He's up with the twos.
Yeah.
Him and Ted Levine. That's a fucking actor for you.
I love Teddy Levine. He's not Levine, he's Levine.
Levine.
That's a lot of Campbell's soup and Clorox bleach here at the...
And speaking of Silence of the Lambs...
There you go.
There you go. Teddy Levine.
She looks great as an insane person.
Oh, she's got that manicness to it.
Yep.
It's the best way I can. The jittery
Disassociation with reality.
Yeah.
There's some barbecue. Who knows what that is? I mean, it looked good. Maybe it's. I would eat it. I'd eat anything. It's a nice little twist. I guess it's not really it's a twist. But it's interesting that, the Leatherface character just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Even though he was hot on her heels.
Oh, yeah.
All the way up to the door.
Yeah.
Trying to see what else they got on the shelf there.
Mm-hmm.
Hot sauce and ranch dressing and
Lots of soup. Lots of Campbell's soup down there.
A1 sauce, I think I saw. Some. And here he's got the broom. And he was. I'm pretty sure it's this scene or where he was like really potatoing her.
Oh. Speaking of Vader.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was this here with the broom handle where he was like really hitting her and she was bruised to shit the next day.
Oh. There's less makeup she has to put on then.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's really, they were just thinking about the cost efficiencies.
Yeah, Tobe Hooper apparently said after the rap party is like, everyone on the goddamn film's got injuries. Everyone hates me.
I can't even imagine there being a rap party for this thing.
Local dive bar with a couple of $2 beers or something. Who knows?
$2 probably high end in '74.
I'm sure it is.
Old Gassy here was in on it the whole time. I was about to say it's sad that everyone from this movie has passed away, but then I remembered it was 45 years ago.
Marilyn passed too, didn't she?
I thought Marilyn Burns was still alive.
It's hard to keep track of these things after a while.
I thought Marilyn Burns was still alive.
2 seconds here. 2014.
She passed?
Yep.
Seriously?
August 5th of 2014. I thought I saw something about that back then.
Well, that's sad. Because Paul Partain has passed, and Ed Neal has passed.
And Jim Siedow.
That's this gentleman here, yep.
Yeah, I believe so. 2003. So.
Yeah, he had cancer. I want to say that Siedow was supposed to have a cameo in the remake, and he passed away.
Yeah, that would have been too close. He would have been too ill at the time.
Right. I'm pretty sure that this gentleman was supposed to have a cameo.
Well, co-writer Kim Henkel's still around.
Oh, of course.
The guy who gives us the 4th movie in the franchise.
He was responsible for that?
McConaughey.
Oh my god. I've only seen that one once.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm
It's basically a remake of this. Yeah.
Feed my eyes on that one. I've got to see this.
It's terrible.
Because I've heard McConaughey is just batshit off the rails.
Yep. And
along with the rest of the movie.
It's not good.
I've heard it's not good.
And what's her name? Is
Zellweger.
Yep. By the time this comes out, she's going to be pretty close to winning another Oscar. Not for that. Not for that. That was not award-worthy. Zellweger. Good Christ. This guy's great. Like, the fact that she ran here in 30 seconds, and now he's got to put her in the car in order to take her back.
And they're not already there right now.
I mean, it took this fucker...
It's like a real wide road all the way around.
She did run through the woods, right.
Yeah,
so.
She took the shortcut. He finally got home.
Yeah, I mean, it took him, 6 hours to walk here.
Yeah. How'd you like to do that? Have to walk to work 6 hours every day.
Oh, my God.
My God.
God, I love this shot of him beating him in the headlights. And here's where we learn that he did all that nefarious grave robbing. Just something so kind of ominous about the whole tone of the movie. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Okay.
And here, this is my favorite line in the entire movie is right here, coming up. Oh, not when they get up to the house here.
Okay.
How would he know that the brother even had access to the kids? Well, maybe. Right here. Look what your brother did to the door is my favorite line in the entire movie. Here he has changed his persona again. I mean, there's like hands on the chair. Like, everything about this is just so gross and creepy. I mean, I like the callback a little bit. The subtitles just now said, in parentheses, Leatherface explaining. In his grunting falsetto. Which is hilarious. He doesn't speak English. He might have just got a handful of boob there.
Yeah, well.
He's way too excited. Go get Grandpa. See, maybe he's the Franklin of the bunch. With the raspberries and the... I mean, you're right. They haven't really built up enough of a character for her, Sally. Mm-hmm. For you... I mean, you care about her as, the
general human being in a horrifying situation.
Right, and she's, the last of the group. And and at this point, it's how is she going to get out of this situation?
Right.
But you don't really care about her as a character.
Oh, right. I mean, you can't really identify a particular character trait that she has, really kind of explain who she is, really.
Right.
Yeah.
You know more about the hitchhiker.
Right.
You know more about Leatherface, really. You know more about Jim Siedow, the gas station, the dad. Mm-hmm. I mean, from a structural point of view, to have your main character be the character you know the least about,
Yeah.
it's quite shocking,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun shot.
Needs one of those Mrs. Deagle.
Yeah, you gotta have a deagle.
Yeah.
Just shot that old bitch right out the window.
Deagle,
Again.
Deagle, Deagle.
She didn't live because she didn't choose to go out the window.
Yes.
Had she thrown herself out the window,
She's shown out the window. She'd be just fine.
she'd be just fine.
She'd be just fine.
These guys could use a Peltzer juicer.
Sure, they'd find some uses for that.
I mean, look at how animated old Letty is there. That might have been a penis. John Duggan, the grandpa character, obviously he's still alive because he's legit. He's like a 20-year-old man.
He's the youngest man on the film.
He's like 20 years old under all that makeup. And he makes the convention circuit too now and
Yeah.
again. And it could legit be anybody.
Did they ever bring him back? They didn't do for 2. They got someone else.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, like, you and I could go for a walk right now, and the first guy we see could be this John
Yeah,
Duggan.
we wouldn't
I don't
have a
know.
blasted clue.
How do we know?
So, yeah, like he's a senior citizen now.
The terror in her eyes as she passes out. And here is where Tobe said he pushed all of his chips to the middle of the table.
So you think you've seen some shit? You haven't seen shit. You haven't seen anything.
Here we go. All in. And this is probably one of the most infamous film shoots, like, of all time.
Okay.
I don't know how much you researched as far as
I didn't read anything about this scene in particular, no.
the dinner scene.
No.
It is probably the most famous or infamous scene because it's July, it's Texas.
Sweating and gross.
It's over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Plus, you have the lights of the film crew.
Yeah.
They were not able. The film, this scene, shot for like 22 hours straight.
Oh.
They had to black out the windows to make it look like nighttime. The lights, in particular,
the electricity was burning out, right?
Yep. In particular, the one over the table there is now cooking all of this meat that's on the table.
It's like that scene in what Elm Street 3 or 4?
Yep, with the pig.
With the pig on the slab.
I think it's on 3, yeah. And it was just the longest, hottest, stinkiest day. It's like
I'm just gonna sit in the shower for a week now.
Yeah, that's basically how it was. It was miserable from what I have gathered.
I mean, it looks about as much as it probably felt.
Bitch hog is great.
Bitch hog.
That's the first reference to the name Leatherface.
Yeah.
Leatherface has now put on his makeup persona here.
Yeah.
He had on his mom wig when he was making the dinner.
Yeah.
And now he's prettied himself
Yes.
for dinner. Just outstanding. But I do encourage you to get into some of these like making ofs, commentary track or something. You just skip to this scene, and listen to some of these people talk about this most horrifying situation that is the dinner scene. That, I mean, legit went on for 20 plus hours of filming in 110 degree heat. July, Texas, blacked out windows, production lights.
Look at those eyes, man.
This is very manic, that's the word you used earlier?
Yeah. Oh.
It's so good.
Whew.
I mean, I don't think audiences had ever seen anything like this in 1974.
No.
I mean, look at this. The close-up of that face.
How did she not blow her fucking vocal cords? I have
know.
no clue.
I know. I love the chicken head on the plank of wood. Like, is this a normal family dinner for these people? Grandpa's the best. Sure he is. You're right, though. I mean, how she didn't blow out everything.
Yeah, and just pass out, too.
Well, yeah, heat and...
Yeah.
I mean, it could be 10 a.m. right now when they're shooting this.
Yeah.
1 in the afternoon. But they had everything all blacked out. I very distinctly remember somebody talking about, and it might have been Gunnar Hansen, talking about all this food that's on the table just started to, like, rot because it's being cooked under the heat and lights. I mean, it makes me want to barf just thinking about it. Not as bad as somebody drinking beer out of a shoe, but close. You're right. Like, when you're talking about, even though there's not a lot of blood and guts, like, this is a torture sequence of attempted murder.
Right. And just for the audience, it's a sensory attack.
100%. And there's a little bit of a suspense build here, like, because you don't really know what the end game is, and hit that bitch. And he's got a nice purple pinstripe. This Blu-ray, man, you really see all the deets. Grandpa's dressed in the nines. I add that to my list of costumes that I need to recreate. I mean, that's a Steve Harvey special right there. The fact that he's, missing and dropping it and, it kind of, it's like if you want it to just be over, And she jumps and it's now daylight. She lived because she jumped herself. I do like the stark contrast of lighting and how she jumps out and it's morning, which means it gives you a perspective of just how long. Look at this shot; it's so terrifying. Gives you a sense of just how long she was in there enduring that pain, because we did see her and Franklin.
Yeah, we saw the
dusk.
entire passage into night.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that the hitchhiker here is not really, like, he's just kind of cat and mousing her.
Kind of slashing at her.
Yeah,
slicing
just toying.
Her back.
And just like that, dumb Dick doesn't get out of the way.
Oh, Christ.
He gone.
Oh, poor Gage.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. Oh, Black Maria.
Oh.
Look at this. That's a soft belly right there. Whoop.
It's like, fuck
Fat
this
boy
shit.
has never moved faster in his life.
Not a fucking chance. It's like, good.
Oh, Black Maria. That is one scared bastard. I don't know if I wonder if that guy is still alive or does convention appearances. Who are you? Big truck driver at the end of Chainsaw 1. I mean, look at that guy's ass.
Oh.
Oh. Nice. And here's the shot on the leg. There's a little bit of blood. Here's how you know Ford didn't sponsor the movie, because this is a Chevy truck that's pulling up. Notice Chubbs just kept on running. He's gone down the highway. He didn't even stick around. Again, I love these long distance shots so you can get the full perspective. And this bloody, Carrie-esque screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, they were saying that there was so much caked on blood to her outfit, it was almost like almost
crusted and
almost
hard,
practically like fiberglass by the end of it.
And this is such a beautiful shot. I think.
Yeah.
With the sepia tone and him basically dancing
and just having a fit.
Just a manic episode. And roll credits, which there's that he's still out there aspect of it.
It keeps on kind of that adrenaline high of sorts at the end of the whole thing. It doesn't allow you to come down.
Cattle truck driver Ed Gwynn, not to be confused with Ed Gein.
Or Fred Gwynn.
Or Fred Gwynn, right.
Another Pet Cemetery bit there.
Robert Burns, no relation to Marilyn Burns. I think. That was me freestyling. Makeup by Dorothy Pearl, I think related to Danny Pearl, the cinematographer.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure. Looks like Tobe Hooper did some B-roll footage.
Yeah, just take out the 16mm and grab some random shots here and there.
Gives him an extra credit.
Yeah. Doesn't give him any extra money because, again...
He got nothing.
They got ripped off.
Big Tony or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Big Tony.
That's it. That's the end of the credits.
Yeah, nice, short and sweet.
It's short. I like it.
Yeah.
And you're still kind of lukewarm on the whole thing, huh?
I mean, when you get to the horror, it's
horrific.
It kicks into gear and it grabs your attention. Up to that point, I was just kind of strained to have anything maintain my interest in the film.
Yeah, and again, I think it's that recency effect. You get to the end and you go, "Man, that was cool." That last 15 minutes, and it makes you kind of forget about how boring the first half is. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So it's not like I hate the film in any type of way. I just have little things that just like, as someone who deals with screenplays, write my own stuff and analyzing these things as we do, it just feels like I could see how you could compact it more, because when I saw it was like 83 minutes, okay, that's kind of nice. Then it starts seeing like this thing could be kind of condensed a little bit more to get more to the point and be a little. I mean, obviously, this is stuff we're looking back on it as people who have spent our entire lives looking at films and examining films and
especially
building
ones
up
that were
into kind of trying to build our own screenplay, stuff like this. These are guys at the time, like I said, worked in documentary stuff. So not so much narrative stuff, not really screenplay stuff. So
but also,
this is them kind of figuring it out as they go along in a certain way in terms of narrative fictional filmmaking.
And the cultural impact this had was
Right.
a home run.
Right.
So they win. And
Yes.
it doesn't matter what we
Yes.
think.
Exactly.
They won. So, for that, whatever.
And again, like you said, most of them are not with us any longer, so
Right. So
they're not going to hear our opinions regardless.
That's funny.
So,
So,
they live
never
their
mind.
lives without our criticism worth a damn. So
Hilarious.
So any
Okay.
which way you go with it, but so yeah, I mean, if I was a little lukewarm on it, that's just my initial impressions looking at it from the perspective I have and examining films the way I do.
Yep.
So
Well, 2 is a lot more fun.
it's a lot more jam packed.
Yeah.
And especially seeing this, then you see the second film. There's a lot more things to kind of like comment. The second film comments on certain things.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get into those examinations shortly.
Well, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah.
And we finally did it. We'll see you next time for...
This franchise will ramp up and go in some very unusual directions very quickly.
Yes. I can't wait.
And talking about continuity. Halloween franchise almost has nothing on this franchise.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Because every new film kind of wants to say, this is the sequel to only the first film.
Yeah, a little bit.
Then we'll have prequels.
Oh, God damn it.
We might stop after the prequel.
Okay.
We'll pause. Anyway, guys, thanks much.
Sorry we rambled.
Oh, well, it was a shorter film than usual, so...
It's fine.
A little more time.
It's
so
fine.
We'll close out and get on with your day. So thanks much for spending some of it with us.
See you next time.
Bye.